Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Star Wars, nothing but Star
Hey guys, thanks for joining us here on AfterBuzz. We're just listening to some classic Bill Murray.
I mean, is there any other way to start this?
No,
I
it's
don't
a beautiful
so.
song. It's a beautiful song. All right, guys, we're here to talk about Star Wars Rebels, Episode 3, Droids in Distress. Wow.
We have a special guest.
We do have a special guest. He's sitting right next to me. But before we introduce our special guest, let's introduce my lovely co-hosts, Megan Salinas.
Hi, everyone.
And Kristin Carole.
Hey, guys.
And our special guest, R2-D2. Oh, I think he's asleep right now.
He's sleeping. Somebody turned him off.
You know,
I'm not going to
maybe
name names.
He wouldn't stop looking at me. It was creeping me out. All right.
He's a feisty one.
But he's so cute.
Before we jump into this, how'd you guys feel about this episode?
It was fun. I mean, I think we were talking a little bit earlier, they're still laying down a lot of the groundwork. I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't jump right into the Inquisitor.
Oh, yeah.
But it was still a really fun episode.
Yeah, we didn't even see him, did we?
Nope.
Man.
Nowhere to be seen.
I really want that guy to show up, too.
They're building him up, I'm sure.
I thought it was good. When it first started out, all of a sudden they were at the end of an assignment, and I was like, it took me a second to be. It was a little jolted how they started. It wasn't, the end of the last one.
Right, they threw us right in there.
Exactly. So I kind of had to take a minute and go, oh, okay, so he is officially part of the team, and they're doing stuff, and I don't think I liked how it began, but it was fun, and I liked it, and I liked all the cameos. I mean,
Yeah.
it's fun to see how they bring that into everything and where they end up and where they go and what they're actually doing. So I really enjoyed that. I like when we see little Easter eggs.
That
so
was
to speak.
the big sell on this episode was the cameos. Our special guest R2 was one of the cameos. C-3PO was there. There were a few other hidden ones here and there. I don't know if anyone noticed, but the driver, do you guys recognize the driver there?
Star Tours!
Oh, yeah. So if anyone hasn't been to Disneyland, or is it at Disney World, too? I'm
Yeah,
sure it is.
It's not there anymore, though, because they switched the Star Tours in both
Yeah.
ways. But
I haven't
it was,
been in a long time.
It was the old, driver Rex of Star Tours. They called him a different name, but it was the same kind of droid that was driving
Captain
it.
Rex was the
exactly.
Star Tours
and
guide.
it was always his first flight, and you're like, come on, man. I've been going to this for at least 20 years. You know how to fly this
You
thing
were
now.
a veteran. Why are you still making these rookie
And I was
mistakes?
always sad I never made it to the Endor moon. I just
Oh.
never. Spoiler alert, well, you can't go on it anymore, so.
Well, it's kind of sad because if you go to Disneyland now, Rex is still there in line. He's there in kind of like the scrap heap. It's really kind of
that's
depressing.
Oh my
kind of like the
God.
luggage you didn't want. Like he's in that section.
That's really sad.
But he's still
Is it
there.
because he was such a bad driver? Because he was a horrible driver.
I think that's why.
He always got in a wreck. Started
C-3PO
flying
was like,
around.
I gotta take this stuff over.
Well, he is a RX series droid, which is why they call him Rex, I think. And this droid in the show, he was a pilot, looked just like him. He was corny and cheesy, and he did the pull down his mask. He did all the funny stuff that him. So it was fun to see that they incorporated an old Disney character into the Star Wars show. I like that. And they even got the same voice actor as Rex from Disneyland.
Oh, really?
Yeah, same voice actor. I think it's
Nice.
Paul Rubens.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense.
So that's pretty cool. All right, so let's jump into it. And just like Kristin was saying, we start off, they're in the end of a mission, and they're running from a Star Destroyer right off the bat. Star Destroyer chasing them out, and they have some TIE fighters on their tail, and Chopper hits the hyperdrive, and they blast off. And then, well, we got some problems. They're running out of money. They got no food. They got no money.
Nope. Got to get money on the
when
table.
you give away all your food and just do things for free.
Yeah, it makes you think, it's like, maybe we should have kept some of it at least. But I will say that this episode in particular is pretty nostalgic, actually, for me, because I have a soft spot in my heart for, like, kind of the space cowboy stuff.
Yeah.
And I grew up with a show called Outlaw Star, which was about a group of bounty hunters who were always trying to keep food on the table.
Sure.
And so they were always doing all these odd jobs, and usually they end up with more expenses than they do
It's kind
actual
of
income.
also Firefly-esque.
Yes, very much. Or Cowboy Bebop
Oh,
and
yeah,
everything,
right,
too.
yeah.
So I did like how that's how this episode started out.
It's
'cause
kind of cool.
So
They're
cute.
space cowboys. So what happens? Kanan says, well, I know of a job. Let's go be arms dealers. And they're like, what? This guy used to be a
Just steer.
Jedi. Now he wants to be an arms dealer. This is crazy.
He's Breaking Bad right now.
Yeah, he is.
Basically, is what's going on.
I don't have time to train you. I have lots and lots of
Yeah,
arms
poor
to do.
Ezra's like, I like that Hera goes, how's your Jedi training coming along? And he goes, what Jedi training? Like, that's unheard of, or whatever he
I
said.
love her response, 'cause she's like, oh, we'll see about that.
Oh, yeah. She's going to make it happen.
Well, the very next scene. Well, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
too, but it was cute.
Jumping ahead.
Well, you can jump ahead if you want to.
I just like when she said that, and the very next scene is like, they were talking about it because they come into the room, and it was, what was it? We'll see about that. And she's like, that's fine, love, but we will discuss.
Oh, yeah.
That's what she tells him. And you know exactly what to mean. He's like,
Everyone knows what that
"Aw,
means.
man."
Every man knows what
But
that
he's
means.
like, but she did call me love.
Yeah.
Point one? Do I get a plus for that?
It equals out.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I forgot to mention the line, Zeb's line with Hera and Chopper when they're about to jump into hyperspace. And Chopper like made some grumpy noise because he's such a grumpy little droid. And Zeb says, what did he say? And Hera said, he said, hello, hyperspace. And then Zeb's response was perfect. He just goes, what did he say? He goes, that's not what he said. So good. So the comedy in the show is good. It's fun.
It is.
It keeps you laughing. It's lighthearted. It's good. All right. So they decide, they take a vote. They're going to go do these arms deal for Vizago.
That jerk.
That jerk that sold him out in the first place. I'm like, right? Why still work with that guy? So they go there and they know the mission, right? So they go to the spaceport. Like, Kanan already knows the mission. And that's where we see them getting on a public spaceport transport.
Star commuter shuttle.
Sure.
Yes.
There you go. That's when we see the RX droid, who is like Rex from Disneyland. And you start seeing them do their little routine, like where they're like in the first episode where you saw they all had like parts to play, and you see Chopper and Ezra get on, and they're like pushing each other, and
If it wasn't a cartoon, they would be undercover.
right, yeah, but it's cartoons, so you guys see they're funny.
Yeah, see their faces so we know who they are and not change their outfits.
I wonder how, like, the process for, like, okay, who plays what part gets discussed, because Ezra seemed to get the short end of the straw because he's the one getting electrocuted by the droid in this scenario.
Well, you know what? I was reading about Ezra and Chopper, and they say they have that kind of relationship where they just kind of mess with each other. Like Chopper will play jokes on Ezra, and Ezra will mess with Chopper. And I was like, that sounds fun. A little droid to mess
Gotta
with.
hurt a little bit too.
And then, so we have, what was she? She was
Oh, the minister.
the minister. That's
Yeah.
right. She was an imperial minister, and she comes
Minister
aboard
Tua.
with another guy. What was he? I wrote down his race.
Mr. Amda Wabu.
Yeah, they kept calling him Mr. Wabu. And he is an Aqualish, which is the same species that we saw in A New Hope, which was standing next to that evil doctor dude. I forgot his name. It was Dr. something. But he's the one that, like, he doesn't like you. Remember that guy?
I don't like you either.
Yeah, exactly. So that guy that he says he doesn't like you, he was the same species as this dude. So that's why we recognize him. He looks familiar. They're called Aqualish. And that guy's name in New Hope, by the way, is Ponda Baba. Wrote that down for some reason.
Instead of the last name. No, just kidding.
So she can't translate. So two little droids come on, and it's R2-D2 and C-3PO. Yay!
Yay!
Everybody loves seeing them. Obviously, C-3PO goes straight into his, hey, I'm a translator, every single time you see him. That's the first thing he says. I'm fluent in over 6 million forms of communication. Okay, we get it. We know.
And I love that the voice actor came for this as well.
You know what?
C-3PO.
No one ever does C-3PO but that
Besides
guy.
him.
I think he has a lockdown on C-3PO,
I don't.
which is awesome, I think.
I can't picture anybody else doing it. I mean, I'm sure that there are plenty of people out there who do really good imitations,
Sure.
but like I think it's fun that they keep it the same actor.
Yeah, Anthony Daniels, by the way. So they start their little scheme, and Chopper and Ezra start fighting and shoving for space, and Kanan jumps in, mind your own business. And then Kanan calls up to, we'll just call him Rex, even though he's not Rex, calls up to Rex and says, hey, man, aren't droids supposed to be in the back? So they send all the droids to the back.
I love that C-3PO. They call him at first, what was it? Astromech?
Oh, an astromech droid, yeah.
Astromech. He's like, I am a translator. How dare you?
Yeah, he starts getting mad. He doesn't want to be the filth that is
stuffy,
astromech
like,
droids.
You know, kind of like sitting up. Like, I am
Right.
not like that.
He's a
rubbish.
proper droid.
Well, they're gonna make him sit in the back.
I know.
That's not
with
cool.
the astromechs. Jeez. So this is where Sabine comes in. She sees that the minister couldn't translate. All right. And the minister had no idea what this guy was saying. So she jumps in and she's like, hey, yo, my level 5 Imperial test. Yeah, I could do good. I like that the minister's like, oh, you're an Imperial too? Oh, I used to be a level 5. It's like you're just hitting someone's like past, like,
You're hitting their nostalgia.
Yeah,
You're just
exactly.
like, I remember those days.
Oh, the
School
good
sucked.
old-
You go up to me and you're like, I was part of this sorority too. It's crazy. We went to the same class.
Oh, wow.
Ah, to be young again.
Yeah. So she gets some information out of where their stuff is in the loading bay. And he says 17, but she tells... No, wait. He says 7. And she tells the minister 17 to buy him some time when they get there so they can sneak in. And I like this part because they tell Ezra, and now it's up to Ezra to crawl through the vents and stuff. And he kind of pulls an Aladdin moment again.
And I like that this one too, it wasn't just focused on, I feel like the first one, or first two, if you want to be technical, were focused on Ezra primarily. And
Right.
this one, I didn't feel like we saw him as much, which was actually, I mean, not that he's bad or anything like that, but it was definitely more of a group dynamic.
Yeah, and I like that. I hope it's always more about the group, even though you can still feel the slight emphasis that Ezra's the main character, you know, but it's still more of a group show.
He's
and I
our
like
Luke
that.
Skywalker.
Yeah,
stand.
he's our young. We're going to see the most change in Ezra. Everyone else is kind of older and set in their ways. Ezra is still growing and still learning, and he's going to
he's
get
the one that
stronger and
has to
better
go
and-
on the hero's journey.
Exactly. So Ezra crawls through the vents and he says, "Hey, I thought you were going to teach me some Jedi stuff." Man, he's like, all we got to do is still to live. You know, like, oh, it's Aladdin. Yeah, still gotta still to eat. Gotta eat to live.
Tell you all about it when I got the time.
Yeah.
He's just gonna go there. And I'm like, Megan's got this.
So, but he kind of gets out there and you hear the Star Wars music playing in the background because he's starting to like feel the Force and use it to like time his jumps and jump just right. Dodges a spaceship flying by, and he's right in front of it. I thought that was pretty good. And he gets in, he gets it done, and they are like, nah, we didn't think you would do it. Nah, you
They
weren't
should have
gonna
like
ever make it.
exchanged money. Like, oh man.
Oh yeah, they should have
Zeb
made a
would be
bet.
like, dang it, Hera.
That would have been good.
That would have been really funny if they had bet money.
That he
It
wasn't
would have
gonna
been
do it.
great.
So they open the crates because they didn't know what type of weapons these were, and they find that they are T7 ion disruptors. And everyone seems kind of like, okay, except for Zeb, who goes, oh, disruptors. Like, you're like, uh-oh. What does Zeb have to do with disruptors?
Maybe we should rethink this.
Yeah.
I'm not super on board with this anymore.
Well, I thought all of them seemed a little bit hesitant because one, you've got Zeb in the room, and he's obviously got a huge issue with it.
Sure.
And they're illegal.
Yeah, oh yeah, they
use
mentioned
as
that.
well, yeah.
These are banned by the Empire. So what's the deal with that? So we go on. They get on the spaceship. Now Zeb's in a pissed off mood. Shoves Ezra out of his cabin.
Well, I like when they go on there too, and we see R2 and C-3PO follow Chopper on because it's like, oh, this guy knows where he's going and he's getting out of danger, and these two other people that came, I can't handle it, and then all of a sudden they show up on the ship with them and they're like, oh crap.
Oh yeah, that one of my favorite moments in the show too was earlier when Chopper was trying to distract him and he like ran into R2 and he like poked him and then R2 zapped him and then he like threw his hands in the air and he was like, ah! And so that was a good part. I like Chopper. I wish Chopper and R2-D2 would have just messed around for more.
You watched the entire episode of just them fighting.
Or just them like on a mission by themselves.
It'd be like Wall-E.
Oh,
Except you wouldn't understand anything. You just hear beeps from R2 and like from Chopper.
I feel like it'd be, if Wall-E met up. Got like the old guy with the younger one, but they're droids.
Oh, and we found out that Chopper is a, C-110P droid? Mm-hmm. And C-3PO refers to him as his old C-110P. It might have already been online somewhere, but I just saw it on the show. And I
agree. I don't remember hearing it
Yeah, no.
in the previous episode.
I'll take your word for
I
it.
even wrote it down because I was like, this is new information to me.
Yeah, I think they might have put it out, though, in his, backstory. Mm-hmm. So I missed that. But that's what type of droid. And I think I was wondering, I was having a discussion with people at work. I think our Chopper is an older model droid than R2.
I would definitely see that.
Yeah.
I mean, they not only does Chopper just kind of look old, but R2-D2's design is a lot sleeker.
Yeah. And that's what I was thinking. Maybe Chopper is an old astromech droid from a C series, and see they've gone all the way down to the R's. That's all I could think of. But I think he's older. So now we're on the ship. Zeb's ticked off, and Ezra's like, "Oh, why is he being mean to me?" And Hera gives him the backstory. Mm-hmm. So apparently, T7 ion disruptors do some nasty things to organic beings, and the Imperials used those type of weapons to pretty much kill all of Zeb's race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
I went from, being really kind of angry with him from the last two episodes, because he essentially left Ezra to die, and that wasn't cool, to feeling really sorry for him in this episode. I really felt for him this time around.
Lasats, right?
Yeah, Lasats.
Yeah.
And they're from what is the planet? I wrote it down somewhere. Lasan? I think they're Lasats from Lasan.
Lasats. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lasan, yeah.
And it explains a little bit about why he's so grumpy all the time, probably.
Yeah, there's only a handful of them left, pretty much.
I don't know. He should be like the Doctor, though, a little bit, a little nicer and friendly. Well, some of the Doctors, I guess, have kind of a dark side too. Don't they?
There are a lot of versions of the Doctor who are very cranky.
Yeah. No, it definitely does, and we talked about that. We hope we learn more about it,
right?
And it all kind of makes sense.
So now we're getting some Zeb backstory, and I like that because we hadn't really ever seen a creature like him in Star Wars before. So now
we know why.
Now we know why. There's not very many of them. So he's from Lasan, and he's a Lasat, and Lasat got murdered by T7 ion disruptors.
And that's kind of frightening too, because they've got their hands on this tech that essentially wiped out an entire race.
Right.
It's like, who are they going to be handing over these clearly very dangerous illegal weapons to?
Exactly. And they were trying to sell those to the Empire. So the good thing they stopped them, because then we find out that the Empire was actually, those were prototypes, and they were going to mass produce them. So that could have just changed the whole war right there.
I mean, on the one hand, though, if it's stormtroopers going in there, they may not shoot anybody anyways.
That's fair
true.
enough.
They can't hit anything.
Although the walkers were hitting people, I wrote that down. I was like, wow, walkers actually can aim, just stormtroopers.
That's because they're robots and not untrained soldiers.
Well, no, they're just higher up soldiers that have been in the Force longer,
really?
driving them. Well, they drive them.
Okay, I thought they were just robots.
Well, no, remember,
My bad.
like in the movies, you see the guys driving them or whatever.
Yeah, it's usually.
And they shot people in those in the movies, just not stormtroopers. Stormtroopers just don't hit people.
Stormtroopers just don't do anything.
And I was talking with someone online about the whole stormtrooper, clone trooper thing. And there's an upcoming book called Tarkin, and it's all about Tarkin, Grand Moff Tarkin.
That guy.
Apparently his first name is Will Huff.
Really?
It's a weird name.
Will Huff Tarkin.
Will Huff Tarkin. I had no idea until
He was
I
like
was
a southern gentleman. I own a plantation.
Well, I say.
And then he's Foghorn Leghorn.
Now Will Huff Tarkin is Foghorn Leghorn. Well, I say, Princess Leia. That would be a different movie. Don't know if I would like that movie.
Very different.
At least he's still better than He Who Shall Not Be Named in the first three. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh,
Fan favorite.
right. Let's not go there today. So in the Tarkin book, they explain that they shut down the Camino cloning and they started recruiting people and then other means like that. So that'll be out. If you want to read into that, you can go look that up. The Tarkin book comes out next month, I think.
November 4th.
Oh,
Nice.
Thank you.
Oh, did you finish the book that you were reading last time?
I'm almost there. I got busy this week. I gotta hurry up and get on that. But I know the idea of it because right now it's towards the end now, so you kind of have the idea of what they set up, and now it's just like letting it play out. And I have some more news about other books that we can talk about towards the end here. So what was I even talking about when I started going off on Tarkin? Jeez, Tarkin messing everything up.
Weapons,
Yeah,
arms
weapons.
dealing.
Oh, we were talking about
Boom.
why the stormtroopers suck.
Yeah.
So, okay,
I think
yeah.
every Star Wars conversation can loop right back around to
Right
that.
back to the stormtroopers can't shoot.
those stormtroopers.
Yeah, when Zeb was fighting them, they were shooting at him from like 2 feet away. Even I was like, okay, I can't really write that one
Well,
off.
there was one point too where C-3PO a little bit later on, he's like walking into it, and they're just like, and he's not even going that
Well,
fast.
that's not even the first time that's happened to C-3PO.
He's just kind of like we're going very, very slowly, and like nobody hits him.
Yeah.
I will say though that when they do land a hit, it is shocking. You're like, oh my gosh,
wow,
they
he
actually.
got shot. That's amazing.
And it's more like a graze. He got grazed in the arm.
Oh no, that poor Wookiee.
Yeah, that guy. He's the only guy that gets shot in Star Wars, is that Wookiee.
But the baby Wookiee was okay. Oh, and he wasn't here this time.
No baby
No
Wookiee.
baby
They didn't
Wookiee.
take him along.
Maybe he'll return.
So they go down to the planet to give Vizago these weapons, and stupid C-3PO, who thinks he's being kidnapped or something, droid napped, goes and puts a distress call out, which is, I guess, intercepted. I don't think he called
Yeah,
the
no.
Imperials.
No, I actually, the first time I watched it, I thought he did, and I even told Megan, I'm like, what a snitch. And
Yeah.
I rewatched it again. I try to watch it twice so I can get all the names down. But yeah, as it turns out, he's trying to get somebody else, and it is intercepted.
Well, and it's actually really clever because at the beginning of this episode, it seems like they're on the side of the Empire. And that's kind of confusing because you're like, wait, no, these are our heroes.
Right.
Why are they hanging around the Empire, doing work for the bad guys? And then you see C-3PO, what looks like calling, and so it was a very clever setup with
He
what
does
they
say-
ended up panning out.
Briefly, the name of who he's calling.
General someone.
Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
something
I
like
heard it,
that.
and they
then
were
all of
like-
a sudden, you're like, you see Callus, and
And you're like,
Because the Imperial agent that walked up to Callus was like, sir, there was a distress call put out to General so-and-so, but we intercepted it. He's on the line. And then, yeah, Callus.
I guess if you missed that line, yeah.
Yeah, it's real quick, too.
it's yeah.
So, yeah, he put out a call to General someone. You can tell us who online if you
I
want.
get so distracted every time Callus is on screen because of those giant mutton chops.
Oh, man, those chops are awesome. That's how you
some
know
nice choppers.
he's hardcore. I'm going to grow those. And just walk
I was gonna
around.
say,
Halloween,
yeah.
you should just do that.
Just grow
could
some
be General
big
Callus.
Callus chops.
I like it.
That'd be awesome. So he intercepts the call and he flies down to the planet to try and catch these guys because he knows it's them. He knows it's the rebels he's been chasing. And then Vizago sees them and like, oh God, you brought the Imperials. Vizago doesn't pay for half deals.
So yeah, he takes half
what a
of these
jerk.
super dangerous weapons, doesn't pay them anything, and just takes off.
I think they should go after Vizago. I would. As soon as I get away from the Empire. Okay, we gotta go back. Because
Took
this guy
half
was
their payload and didn't pay a cent.
He'll get his.
Oh, he will.
Yeah.
Karma, big thing in Star
Oh
Wars.
yeah. He's earning a lot of karma.
So they take off and they were like, well, we got to load these. We can't let the Empire get these guns because they're so dangerous. So we have to take them and put them on the ship, but hold them off. I like that, Kanan. The first thing I thought was, well, just grab some of those guns and just
Yeah,
use them.
just use him against him.
So they took down one walker, and then the other one shot Kanan and like blew him backwards, and he lost the gun, so he couldn't use it. But here comes Callus with his stormtroopers, and he sees Zeb, and he calls him out. And you're like, why is Callus calling out Zeb? Like, what's the beef there? He pulls out that big bow rifle, which that you learn from Zeb, who Zeb has one too. they go fight for a minute, and he knocks it out of his hand for a second. He goes, only the honor guard of the Lasat can use a bow rifle. And then you find out the hard-hitting news that Callus, he says, I know. I took it from one when I killed him on Lasat.
Gave the order,
and he goes, I gave the order to use the ion disruptors. And you're like, what?
So yeah, basically this guy with giant mutton chops that we, with the... I mean, are we really surprised that a guy named Callus is responsible for genocide?
No. I guess it was foreshadowed.
I mean, was he born into wickedness, or was wickedness thrust against
Thrust upon him. I got it. I got your reference.
Wicked.
But it was, I mean, geez, like
I
that
know.
got dark.
That got dark real quick, and you're like, wow, he's the one that's responsible for genocide of this whole species? Like, that's messed up. Mm-hmm. And now you can see why then Zeb gets real mad, and they start going at it. And Zeb has kind of the upper hand on him the whole time. Like, he's kind of besting him, but while that's going on, they're trying to figure out, like, how do we get rid of these guns or cause a distraction. And R2, little old R2, comes to save the day. He drives up and says, oh, beep, 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 beep. And Sabine, I guess, who understands astromech beeps, goes, oh, that's right. We could just overcharge these guns. What a good idea, R2.
She understands so many languages.
She's so good. Which he probably was. We found out, I think, later that he was kind of programmed to do the whole time. Mm-hmm. He was on a secret mission. And his sole mission was to make sure that those guns didn't get in the wrong hand. Yeah. So that's why he wanted to join. I like when he starts driving up. C-3PO goes, where are you going? He goes, I'm going to join them. And he's like, join them.
Join Jabber,
Yeah.
We're buddies now.
So they overcharge the guns. They blow them up. It kills the other walker. And it shakes everything. It's like a big earthquake. Mm-hmm. And that's when Callus gets the good jab right in on Zeb. Did you guys see that coming? I was wondering the whole time. Like, I thought Zeb will take this guy.
I didn't know what I was expecting from this fight, because I certainly wasn't expecting Callus to be responsible for the genocide of Zeb's race. So,
That's true.
But I mean, it makes sense if he was a good enough fighter to actually get the staff, in the first place from this honor guard warrior. Although, granted, he might have just, the poor guy might have just brought a bow staff to a gunfight.
Yeah.
We don't know the details. But, I mean, it does make sense. And this is a guy who's going to fight dirty.
Right. Mm-hmm. So he takes that.
And he's clearly saying these things specifically to
make him mad.
Yeah. And so he'll make mistakes.
Right, exactly.
I want to know what the LSATs did to him that he's so pissed off at everybody.
Probably nothing. I think he's just a jerk.
They probably just wanted their homeworld for whatever resources it was worth.
Well, because we figure out why Zeb's kind of a jerk sometimes this week. I mean, do we find out histories? And kind of like we even do in Star Wars, you find out, Anakin's backstory and everything.
You want the backstory of Callus.
I wanted everybody. Well, we're seeing a lot of him.
He was mistreated as a child.
We're invested in it. We're starting to get invested in him.
He's our main antagonist until the Inquisitor comes in. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you do want to know more about him. You're like, well, why are you so callous? I don't understand.
Yeah, because you don't find out Darth Vader's being controlled in there as well. And I wonder if Callus, if the Inquisitor isn't somebody that's, the Emperor, that way.
They're
so to
pushing
speak.
him.
And it's just a question you want from like all well-rounded characters. Like the best villains are the ones who have like a good reason for what they're doing, that they're well-rounded. Because a lot of times really interesting villains don't see themselves as villains. They see themselves as doing the right thing.
Well, yeah, maybe that's Callus' thing. He's for the Empire.
Or maybe he's just pissed because his parents named him Callus.
Yeah, what do you expect?
Yeah.
You name your kid Callus, that's what's going to happen.
That's what's going on.
Like, well, I got to be evil now.
All right.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Maybe we should meet his parents.
So,
I'm just kidding.
He's about to get the drop on him. Mm-hmm. He's about to get the drop on Zeb. And he knocks him down, and he's like, raised up. Final killing blow. And Ezra, who is funny because I think they did this because they always show Ezra and Zeb for the last 2 episodes just fighting each other and kind of always on each other's bad side.
Kind of pushing each other all the time.
And so Ezra is like, no. Boom. Uses the Force. Force push. Cal flies up against a big boulder or rock or whatever.
He hit that pretty hard,
yeah. He's going to wake up with a concussion. Callus, do not take a nap right now. You will die.
It was kind of an interesting way to use the Force too, because I thought it was more of like something out of Once Upon a Time, or True Blood with Suki's fingers and stuff. It was more it was more of a push. I'll go with Once Upon a Time because it's Disney, where when they have their powers and when Emma has her powers in there and she just goes at people, and you think of more of the Force. It's just kind of
yeah.
And he doesn't know how to control it
because he doesn't know how to control it, right?
But that's kind of interesting because I don't feel like we've seen that as much.
Well, they had a little bit of it in the prequels like that, like.
Yeah, I think, but yeah, we don't explore, like, they don't show it really in the
original trilogy as much. No.
Those are the ones I know better.
Yeah. You're right. It's that has to be what it is. He doesn't know what he's doing, and he just on instinct was like no, and had to double hand push, and maybe that helped. Maybe if he would have only done one hand, it would have just like pushed him back an inch or two and not done anything. So it's okay. It's good. It does, and you see Kanan like. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. I knew I was forgetting about something.
I really got to start training this kid.
He's just going to start causing problems.
Which questions why Kanan didn't already do something like that in the first place. Because I know in the first episode, he's trying to hide the fact that he's a Jedi.
No, the secret's out.
The secret's
cat's out of the bag.
Why don't you just jumping around with a lightsaber taking care of business? What are you doing, Kanan? Oh, well.
Get it together, Kanan.
Especially because like they already met him earlier, so it's not like a big secret reveal. It's like, cat's out of the bag. Yeah.
Unless he was doing it so that R2 and C-3PO wouldn't know.
That could be too.
But then later they go ahead and say it in front of those droids anyway. They're like when they're on the ship, C-3PO and R2-D2 are standing right there, and he goes, "Your Jedi training starts tomorrow." And the droids are like, "What? Oh, okay."
I mean. Dang it, like, then now they know.
Now they know.
It's like, well, why didn't you mention this when Luke is doing his thing?
Yeah. God, those jerk droids. Well, that brings, see, that's a whole other issue.
Well,
there.
And again, we don't know if our characters are going to live to see A New Hope or not. We'll see.
Well, it's the same idea with, like, Obi-Wan going, I don't remember owning any droid. Really? I watched the Clone Wars. You were with R2 all the time. Don't give me that, Obi-Wan.
Granted, he has been in like kind of this cave-esque area for numerous years. Maybe he's just...
like 18 years or something. And he's old. He's getting senile. It's like, I don't remember any droids. Who knows? So
continuity.
But they erased their memories at the end of the third one, right?
They did. I don't think they did to R2, did they? They did it to C-3PO. Because he can remember and talk too much.
I thought they did it to both of them.
I think they just said, like, go clean this one up and wipe this one's memory. And C-3PO was like, what?
It's probably best because he's a blabbermouth.
Yeah. So they probably did it to him again before he showed up again. They probably wipe his memory all the time.
It's like
just to shut him
Men
up.
in Black him.
Yeah, they do. That's what they do. Okay, so now they save Zeb, they pull him on the ship, and they fly off, and that's when they tell Zeb, like, oh, Ezra did it. Oh, Ezra, you're going to get your Jedi training. You stud, you. And then...
Zeb better leave him alone a little bit. I don't mind the funny banter, but, like, don't try to kill him all the time anymore.
Yeah, especially now.
Shoving him.
He saved your life.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll be nicer to him in the next episode.
Next time, Ezra's just going to be like, hiya to you as well.
I hope he's overly nice,
Well,
which would be funny.
If you notice the expression on his face, it wasn't like one of those, like, you did good kid type things. When he gets told the news, it was surprised, but, like, kind of guarded. It wasn't, like, super grateful. It was just kind of, It was more...
Oh, he does like me.
Pretty much. So in Zeb's mind, it's probably like, great, I owe him one now.
Oh, that's true.
Like, I'm gonna have to do something so that we're even again.
I hope he's overly nice. Like the next time you just see him like following Ezra around, like giving him shoulder massages. Like, hey, how's it going, buddy? Hey, how are you? It'd be so weird.
No, you odd.
We're gonna watch the pod race. Yeah, it comes on at 2.
Come on, man. I'll make you some food.
Hey, best buddy.
Best friend. So they droids, by the way, tell them like, hey, don't sell us. Earlier they said, don't sell us to Vizago. Our master will pay you a lot of money if you bring us back. And they find out, okay, I guess they go and there's our next cameo, our final cameo of the show.
That was cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. It's Bail Organa, who is Leia's adopted father. He adopts Leia at the end of 3, Revenge of the Sith, because she needs a place to live.
They have to separate them.
Yeah, they gotta separate them. He sinks them, and you even see the ship. Yeah, I forgot what the name of the ship is. It has a name. I should have wrote it down. But you see that ship. That's Leia's ship. You see it at the beginning of A New Hope, and it's his ship. And you also see it in Revenge of the Sith. You see that same ship. So got the same ship. You see him come on. You're like, oh, it's Bail Organa. That's so cool. And the droids are talking to him, and he pays him a lot of money. And my favorite part right here. Where is this? Kanan says, oh, thank you. It's very generous because he gives him like a lot of money. And that's when Bail Organa says, the simplest gesture of kindness can fill a galaxy with hope. And you see Kanan's face just like, what? Wait a minute. Like,
That's a Jedi
that's really familiar.
saying.
Isn't that a Jedi saying? And he goes, oh, well, have a good day. See you later. Thanks a lot, Kanan, for stopping by. Well, that was pretty good. And I think the really cool thing is how they ended it. Did you see the pose? Did you see? It was kind of a he puts the thing in, he kneels down in front of R2.
Show me what you have on your rebels.
Yeah, it was so like
because
it's like
R2 was
Leia.
basically recording everything while he
Right.
was on the ship.
Yeah, he was. Oh yeah, they even showed him like
How
put his
they were
little
taking
antenna
them
up,
out,
and
yeah.
he was recording and stuff. So now Bail Organa knows all about this new batch of rebels, so he can help start funding a rebellion.
Would have been kind of cute. It would have been probably too many cameos if all of a sudden like this little brunette girl like runs by.
Oh, like, well,
and it's just like,
well, she
Yay,
would.
R2.
This is only 5 years before.
So she
Probably
should
would have been
be
like 12 or
preteen.
13, something like that.
yeah. She still would have been excited to see her droid.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Just a little kid running around the background.
Just a little nod.
Yeah, that would have been pretty neat. Maybe we'll see it later. Who knows?
Anybody younger than me as a kid, they're like they're all babies. That's what I'm getting old. I'm like Chopper. I'm just like, oh, young people.
So before we get out of here, guys, I have some fun Star Wars news.
Ooh.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Ooh, all right. So there was something really exciting that happened the other day. They were at New York Comic-Con, and they were talking all about A New Dawn and all the new books coming out. We got some new books coming out, like we mentioned before. We got Tarkin that comes out November the 4th. There's another new book coming out called Heir to the Jedi, which is a book about Luke, and it's all told from Luke's perspective for the first time.
Oh.
And it takes place in between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. And it's kind of like Luke has to go on some missions to save some people, and also he's coping and dealing with the loss of Obi-Wan. So that'll be exciting.
That
We'll get
sounds
some
really good,
more Luke story and see what happens in between those two movies. Then we have.
they make a movie out of it?
Will they make a movie out of it? Nah, this is just a book. Read the book. Then we also have, what else was they told us? They told us, oh, there's another new book called Lords of the Sith. And it's a book about basically Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine go on a road trip. Pretty much.
Vegas.
It's actually
Space Vegas.
it sounds like
Vegas.
an awesome time. I would love to hang out with
They
those two.
sing Queen in the car. It's like, yeah.
So they're traveling through space, and I think they get stranded on a planet or something, and they have to, fight their way off or something. It's gonna be weird to read though, because they're bad guys. But yet, like, when they're trapped on a planet, you're going to be like, oh, man, I hope Vader gets off this planet. Like, it's going to be weird, right?
I don't know if I feel bad for them, but it does sound like an interesting story. I mean, we know obviously they're going to get out of it.
Well, they did say that there was a special character in the book, and he was going to be the hero of the book. So maybe it goes back and forth while they're on it. And his name is Cham Syndulla. You guys recognize that last name? No. That's Hera's last name.
Oh.
Is that her brother?
It's
or-
her uncle.
Ah.
Who was also a member or a character on the Clone Wars. Early on in the Clone Wars, there was an arc where they were on the Twi'lek planet and trying to save these Twi'leks who were rebelling against, or not rebelling, I guess they were fighting off the Separatists, so it wasn't a rebellion yet. They were just trying to fight off the Separatists. And his name was Cham Syndulla. And when everyone heard about Hera, they didn't know. They're like, oh, what's the connection? Because he does have like a little daughter, like a little tiny Twi'lek.
But she looked different than
But she
Hera.
looked different, so it was like, that can't be her. So Hera is his niece. So they later let us know that. So if anyone was wondering, that's the connection with them. Oh, and Lords of the Sith, by the way, is taking place after Revenge of the Sith, but before Star Wars Rebels.
Okay.
Okay, so in that
So again,
time
it's
zone.
another in-between
It's another in between. Stick it in the middle there. We also got some news that Marvel, since Disney and Marvel are the same company now, are making a new Star Wars comic series. It's going to be called, and it's about our favorite new Jedi, Star Wars Kanan, The Last Padawan.
Nice.
Oh, see? So that'll be fun. That'll tie in with what we're doing, and that all takes place right after Order 66, from when his master got killed and him learning to
he was
survive.
like 17 when that happened, right? Or like 14?
It was like either 14 or 15, I think. I remember last time I had the number.
Is that before the book that you're reading, though?
Yes, because the book I'm reading just starts off like basically right before the show. It's him meeting Hera and then them hanging
This
out.
is before Hera.
So this is way back. This is all the way when he was a kid running away.
We should create like a timeline.
We should.
And like each medium that actually describes it.
So what's fun about this is it's Kanan canon.
But Tish.
Canon for Kanan. So that'll be exciting. We'll learn more about Kanan. And then finally, this is so much fun. It's ridiculous. In Tarkin, they finally gave old Darth Sidious, a.k.a. Senator Palpatine, a.k.a. Chancellor Palpatine, a.k.a. Emperor Palpatine, a first name.
Wow, all these years and we
All
didn't know
these
his
years,
first name.
nobody knew his first name.
What's his name?
Sheev.
That's a little underwhelming.
I love it. It's just quiet. I hear a laugh come from the booth. Sheev is his name.
Palpatine.
Sheev Palpatine.
That's very underwhelming.
It's weird, right? I pretty much, the whole internet reacted that way. Like, what?
Sounds like a bubble bath. Like I don't know.
Sheev Palpatine. No wonder he's evil. He's like, I'm going to kill everyone. It's a horrible name.
Again, just really cruel parents.
And now he's the
Just
emperor.
he and Kalos can chit chat about how much their
Doing your
names
kids
suck.
like an evil emperor like that.
So, apparently Tarkin, the book Tarkin, is just going to be all about Will Huff and Sheev. Just hanging out, being buddies.
Oh my gosh, these Empire people have the weirdest names. Even by Star Wars standards.
Yeah. Will
How
Huff
can
and
we
Sheev.
live in a universe where, one guy is named Luke and the other guy is named Sheev?
And Will Huff.
I don't get it.
It's like California.
That's true.
All right, guys.
That's fair enough.
Weird names aside, I think that's it for today. But before we go, remember to talk to us online. I was responding to everyone I saw talking on our last clip, our video. I love talking about Star Wars. I'll do it all day long. So you can talk to us on YouTube, or if you're listening on iTunes right now, which a lot of you are, we love you too. Comment and rate us on iTunes. I'm checking it. I'm looking. I'm waiting. I'll talk to you. So just before we go though, tell us where we can reach you, Megan.
You can find me on Twitter at The Menguin. That's TheMenguin. And I'm also on a bunch of other shows here at AfterBuzz.
And you can find me on Twitter at Kristin Carole 13, as well a bunch of other AfterBuzz and Movie Talk Nation stuff.
And we'll also say goodbye to little R2 here.
R2. I feel like you should turn him on at one
Oh, you want to turn him on real quick?
Let's just,
Oh, gosh, where's his button?
Gotta push his
There
button.
you go. There you go.
Let's see if we can hear him. R2! Oh, there he is!
There you go.
All right, you
And
can...
he's looking at Dillon
He's
again.
looking at me. I'll see you later, R2. You can find me on Twitter at Dillon Chance, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.